Jamie McBride, CEO of OptiDocs and optiBPO. Tell us why having standard operating procedures is so important.
Yeah, look, thank you, Wayne, and thanks for having me today. Look, I think we all know that good, well-defined processes and documentation is extremely important for a successful business. However, like all of us, we've probably been growing. Some of us might have started from an entrepreneurial business, growing to a middle-sized business and beyond. Through that growth stages, we might be starting in that entrepreneurial stage where there's one or two people, it's all person dependent, and that's fantastic. And that's why entrepreneurs are successful. But as the business starts to grow, add people, add systems, add complexity, and spread responsibility, it becomes important to think about, well, how do we want to do these activities? Otherwise, we're going to be relying upon people, and processes become person dependent, which means when you lose a person or replace them, it becomes difficult from a training and knowledge transfer perspective.
Jamie, do you see a relationship between quality and standard operating procedures?
Oh, yeah, look, absolutely. Look, that's the other thing that's really important, that getting standard operating procedures right isn't just about doing them for the sake of doing them. It provides us with an opportunity to think about how do we want to do things. And that can change over time. So it's important that they're not just a static document that sits on a file share or on an intranet, that they are living documents that we work against. Once we've got well-defined processes in place, that allows us to do a few things. It allows us to check in to make sure that we're complying with that process. It allows us to make sure that we can measure effectiveness. Where certain activities are in the process, we can understand where those bottlenecks are, and then hopefully we can drive continuous improvement. Without a strong process baseline to begin with, you have no hope of achieving any of that.
Now I know that urgent often overwhelms important in business. Do you see reasons why people don't have standing operating procedures? What's the thing that your clients tell you?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is no one likes writing them. It's one of those tasks, and we've had with many customers that you give someone the task of writing the standard operating procedure, you come back a week later and they haven't even been able to work out the structure or the headings or the templates. It's one of those things that people come to work each day, they have tasks coming at them from a variety of different places. They have customers calling, they might have suppliers they need to deal with. They have all the day-to-day urgent tasks that they need to get through to get home that evening. Those things mean that documenting procedures often takes a back seat because they know full well they'll still be able to do their tasks without them in place for a certain amount of time. But really, it's not sitting there at the top of the pile in terms of urgent getting through those activities.
Now, I know that we all spend more time fighting fires than we do on fire prevention. What's your solution? How do you solve this for people?
Yeah, look, a client said to me yesterday who had kicked off a process project with that it's about getting a shot of adrenaline into the business. He said these ideas of getting these things done they've been talking about for 1-2 years, sometimes getting some external support to make this happen quickly means that you can get it in place rapidly. Getting some expertise around, not only does that allow you to document what you're currently doing, which might not be the best, it also helps you think about, well, how do we actually improve these processes? So what we're building as a baseline is not actually what we're doing today, but is out where we want to achieve in the future. It's not just getting an external party in like ourselves to rapidly and cost effectively build these things. As I said, can quickly bridge that gap from where you are today.
Now, Jamie, given that I know your business is about outsourcing and business process outsourcing, has the idea of needing to do standard operating processes grown out of that?
Yeah, look, we build standard operating procedures and processes across clients regardless, but in terms of our offshoring business, it's a critical enabler and a critical prerequisite to have in place well-defined processes and procedures. Otherwise, you're going to struggle with things like knowledge transfer, you're going to struggle with training, and you're going to struggle with getting this offshore team that is remote from you operating in the way you'd like to see them. So it's a really critical component of that. All of these things sound big and hard, and sometimes clients will say, well, that's all a bit hard and we need a delay in your offshoring initiative. But working with us, we can get those things in place pretty rapidly for our customers in parallel of kicking off the offshoring.
Now, Jamie, knowing you as I do, I'm pretty sure this won't be just a random process. You will, in fact, have a process on how to do the process. What are the steps you take your clients through?
Yeah. Well, one of the things is to understand where we need to start. There's different layers of process. There's the enterprise level thinking, for example, how do we purchase something through to how do we pay it, which is your process policies and procedures at that higher level. The level below that is your standard operating procedures or your work instructions, depending on what you call them, which includes screenshots, narration, that sort of detailed work instruction step. At the process level, it's about a combination of expertise working with you to understand what better practice looks like and how we build a future state and the actions to get there. At the SOP or work instruction level, we actually have a product called optiDocs. The optiDocs helps our customers rapidly and cost effectively build standard operating procedures. We do this through a combination of process understanding by able to identify what needs to go into this documentation, as well as automation tools that help capture what people do on screen, which we then have a documentation team sitting offshore that helps us screenshot, narrate, and annotate these documents for our customers. Given the technology that we use to do this, we can quickly, within days, not weeks, turn around these documents for our customers, which is always very exciting for them.
Yes, I think everyone would agree that having the standard operating procedure is a good thing. It's just how do we get to that point? Do you find that having a process to write the process helps people get there?
Yeah, look, and having that shot of adrenaline, as I mentioned before, from an external party. I said no one likes writing documentation, except our documentation team, of course, who do it for a living. But no one in their day-to-day job likes writing documentation. So having an external party that has the structures, the systems, and the process, means that we get further in a day than I think an internal person can often get in a week or a month. It just means that we can quickly fill that gap, plug that gap, then hand it back to the customer who can maintain it over time.
Now, Jamie, for someone who's listening to you now and is inspired to take action, what's their action step?
Well, the key action is to get in contact with us, Wayne. You can either look on our optiBPO.com website, or we have a specialist website for SOPs called opti-docs.com, or contact me directly. I'll be happy to talk to you about your requirements and how we can help you.
Jamie, it's been a pleasure having you with us. Thank you for your time today.
Yes, thank you, Wayne.